How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. A little bit more swamp head up in this piece in the form of their Hoggetown. Hoggetown? Hoggetown. I think that's how you say it. Irish Red. Yeah, you don't see that many Irish Red comes out of a much brewery. Let's put it this way. You don't see a ton of it come out of breweries, but if you do, usually it's taproom only. To see one come out in a can got to take a little bit pink, to be perfectly honest with you, so I'm excited to dive into this sucker. It's 4.8%. There's story time in the back, but I am not going to read it because it's super long. Nappy that. Label-wise, not a big fan of the labels from Swamphead, but, looks like what... Let's put it this way. If the sensibility of the art from Swamphead is anything, it leans a little bit kind of conservative, old-school brewery-like, so it makes sense with the Irish Red. As far as that looks like an Irish Red to me. That kind of copper with that tinge of mahogany kind of thrown on top of it. Relatively clear white head. Nothing too big to speak of. Soft carbonation. Kind of looks old school. Let's get a nose. The ever so slightest bit of maltiness. The ever so slightest bit of generic bitterness. Done and done. There's really not much to it. And it's very light, so that means any kind of flaws would come to a head. Really not much as far as any negative here. But there's also not any kind of calling card. So we'll see what's what. Let's dive in. Cheers. I mean, she's a soft bittering, soft sweet ale. Doesn't even come off more like a red ale to me. It just comes off as an ale in general, with a little bit of soft bittering, a little bit of soft caramel if I'm really reaching. I remember my Irish Reds being a little bit more robust in the malt department. This comes off a little bit thin, a little bit watery, not all that malty. And I think that bitterness is even just a touch bigger, but with the malt being so low on this one, I think that kind of bitterness is a little bit more kind of volumetric. This is like 2 weeks old, so it's hyper fresh. It's not a bad beer. It's not a negative beer. It's made well. There's no flaws to it. But it's really just kind of, middle of the road kind of genera kind of Irish Red. Is that a negative thing? I don't think Irish Reds are all that exciting of a beer. When they're done well, though, they kind of turn me on. This one's just kind of, it's not that it's done well. Like I said, the beer's made well. It just kind of lacks any kind of, calling card personality. That's pretty much it. I think that's all there is to it. It's clean, well-made beer. I'm going to do a live show after this. Drink a couple beers. This is probably going to be drank. It's because it's an easy sipper chugger. But beyond that, there's really not much to it. Is it one of the better Irish Reds I've had as of late? It would almost default to that, because I can't remember the last one I had. But it's a fine beer. And, nothing I would write home about. Something that I'd probably get in a tap room and go, I'm glad I had that, and never go back to it again. Let's see. Value and availability, no idea with Swamphead and their availability, and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like Irish Reds, you want something that's a little bit toned down from your typical Irish Red. You want something well-made, crisp, clean. You're a BJCP nerd. You're a home brewer. This is probably going to do you all kinds of proper. So there you go. Another review in the books. Take a little sip. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive. Want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice little Irish Red right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.